Hey everyone, so just, I'm out and about this time, hanging out with some good friends at CTK, and so a new area. This is not my normal shooting location, but I thought I'd give you guys a quick update on my channel, Significant Bloggers, and what we're about. So I want to take this time to share some really deep insights into what I've been going through, some testimony as to what I've gone through, and some practical solutions as time goes on to the problems that I've come across as I navigate the area of medical and what to do when you stump the doctors. I've been, to give you some context to that, I've been dealing with some medical stuff since July 14th, 2016. Started out with me having roughly about 2 or 3 seizures on average a day, which was brand new, kind of came out of nowhere as I was driving home from work, and one of the scariest times of my life, because it was an area where my mind was not working. And if you're like me and you're a big control freak out there, to have your mind not work for whatever reason, to be told something 5-6 times in a row and not being able to retain it, it's scary. And I mean, what else can you do but kind of just sit there and wait it out and try and figure things out? And then there was the fatigue and the massive amounts of, well, you know, I don't know what's going on with you. We can't capture it on an EEG, and the massive amounts of, okay, well, what is it I'm supposed to do to try and figure it out? What's the likelihood that you'll be able to capture something on an EEG? Is it heart? Is it brain? Is it something else in the body? And you know, is it stress? Dealing with all sorts of things, and the big deal that this ultimately came down to, the big change that happened 3, maybe 4 months ago, is you know, I decided that I couldn't wait for the doctors to actually give me treatment, because things happen like what happened yesterday if you wait for the doctors. You know, hindsight is 20/20, but December 19th, 2016, I collapsed in the worst pain I've ever felt in my life and was rushed off to the ER, and they did a full body CT and found a mass that was that I now know is actually bigger than what the ER doctor thought it was, but it was 5 inches by 4 inches by 4 inches inside my right iliac. Hollowed out the entirety of the bone, essentially, and they ordered a bone biopsy referral to an orthopedic up in Bellingham, which I saw 2, maybe 3 weeks ago. And that orthopedic didn't want to touch me with a 10-foot pole and referred me down to Seattle to do the bone biopsy. And I was assured that the bone biopsy was going to happen. I was assured that things were going to be taken care of by a receptionist that told me a lot of things, but didn't really have any contact with the doctors. And the one lesson I want to impart to you guys today is that sometimes you really do need to make sure, even if it's the day of and you have to get in contact with the doctor you're supposed to be meeting with, that things are going to go according to a very clear plan. And sometimes it's up to you to take control and build your team of medical advisors to you. Because what ended up happening is yesterday I went through the exhausting, and for me everything's a lot more exhausting than it used to be. I get maybe 6 clear hours a day to cook, to clean, to do whatever it is I need to do before I'm just done. I have no energy after that, and it's hours of pain, because about the only time that I'm not in pain is when I'm either on medication or lying on my back, because sitting and standing caused me some pretty intense bouts of pain, and I feel my hip flex, the bone of my hip flex next to my spine, and like popping and all sorts of fun stuff. And yeah, so anyway, I went through all this effort of going down to what I've deemed a specialist yesterday. And I got down there, drove an hour and a half, a little more than an hour and a half because of the traffic, and had to make an hour and a half return trip. And I sat in the doctor's office, and I was there for maybe an hour. And it turned out to just be a meet and greet, something I could have done over Skype. All because while there was an expectancy that things were going to get done, the doctor had other plans. And it's important that you know that sort of thing happens when you're going through unexplained phenomenon when it comes to your body, is that the doctor ultimately might have other plans than what everybody else is planning. That your primary care doctor is your best advocate for making sure that things happen according to the plan that everybody else has come up with, so that when you go and see a specialist, things don't get confused. And so I've got to have that conversation with my primary care doctor tomorrow. And it's important that you have a primary care doctor that not only believes you, but is actually on your side and helps you figure these things out and comes up with creative solutions, who admits to knowing that they're kind of like that really cool older brother who's got all sorts of years of experience ahead of you, but they don't necessarily know specifics about certain things. They can tell you where to look, but they don't know exactly what you'll find. That's what your primary care doctor is. And I've got a guy who's just been phenomenal, Dr. Casey Lean. If you ever are up in the Bellingham area and need to go to see a doctor, go to UnityCare. He's the best guy ever. I mean, when he found out about the tumor, his first words were, "Holy shit, man." That's, what do we do? What do I need to do? Let's get this done. How can we put some urgency, some fire under people's butts? And that's kind of what you need. So you're going to run into all sorts of things. The first thing that happens whenever a doctor can't explain something is they look for, they do Occam's razor. They look for the simplest solution to your problem. But what people don't admit to is decision bias and cognitive ease in their ability to pursue that. They rely on likelihoods. They rely on statistics more than they do on actual causation. And correlation does not equal causation. If you're a physics major out there, you'll agree with that. And for all the people who are friends of people who are going through circumstances like I have been, what you need to know is that it's hard for even the person that's going through it to imagine everything that they're not going to be able to do. I went from working 80 hours a week, I mean, helping people. I worked my butt off. I'm the oldest in my family. I went from the position of being there to help people to a position of definitely needing help. And that's a huge transition. That's a transition for me, but it's a transition for everybody I know of who is used to dealing with me in a certain way. I mean, people would rely on me for things, and they can't. And that's a hard thing to adjust to. So for you who are watching this, who are looking to want to help your friend who's in need, understand the level of exhaustion, the level of confusion, the emotions that go with it, imagine if you couldn't do the things that you were used to doing. I can't jog. I would break my hip if I jogged. It's that hollow. I can't go for hours doing even just simple intellectual tasks because I get confused very easily sometimes, and I don't remember everything. I used to be the type of guy, and that's, I mean, granted, my friends have a little less empathy for that, because I tended to be more of a savant when it came to memory. I could remember, no matter what time of day, how to get to someplace the first time I went there, no matter where it was in the world, and back, and whatnot. I didn't need directions very often, and now it takes me forever to remember anything. So that's been kind of difficult. But anyway, that becomes a challenge. You know, having to learn to take notes has become a big challenge. Having difficulty in remembering the questions I should ask has been a big challenge. And sometimes I need an advocate in that. And I don't always have an advocate. I mean, I'm former foster youth, so a lot of my life is stuff that I've built myself. And there are other people out there who may not be former foster youth, who may have a regular family situation at home. But the dynamics change. And I would urge you to consider how you could make things easier on the person that you're really caring for. Systems that you can set up that'll help. And that's a great lead into my next point, which is the next thing I wanted to instill in people, just as practical advice, is that I went from having a job, having a temporary living situation because I just moved to a new area, to losing that job and not being able to find a replacement living situation according to the plan that I had built, and couch surfing for from September until just the beginning of this month, January 1st. I was homeless effectively for 4 months. And in my area, there's not a homeless prevention program. There's a homeless assistance program if you're desperately homeless, but you have to have been on the streets for 2 months before they can help you get into any kind of housing. And if you want to get in earlier, they can help you by giving you a deposit if you can get on a lease somewhere, but you have to be able to prove that you can work, which I'm obviously not quite able to do. And I'm not much more fit than maybe doing radio announcements or YouTube, which is one of the reasons why I'm here. And that's really difficult, you know. And then there's a great group living facility, phenomenal group living facility, but where do you put your stuff? You know, where would I keep this laptop that I would know it wouldn't get stolen or sold or lost, or that I might forget it on accident someplace? And those were the worries that I had. And thankfully I was fortunate enough to get some aid moving into an apartment from friends and family, and was able to take over a lease, got a couple of roommates to help share the bill, make it manageable so that I could live on the government assistance that I had, because while I've worked a lot in my life, I was just shy of getting benefits at my new job and lost all my income. And you can't survive very long with no income. Can't survive 6 months with no income and expect to have a good living environment, especially when you're on the streets and you can't do things like cook or store food or store your stuff. You know, just, it's impractical. It's damn near impossible. And that's just a thing that happens. So anyway, point is, I was able to get into a place, but in the process of getting into a place, I was given assets to pass on to my landlord that disqualified me temporarily from my current government benefits. A whopping $750 cut out my benefits for the month, which means that I now need to go through the process of adding one more thing to my list, which I don't have much energy for, but also of making it out to DSHS, which is our essentially our Social Security office for my area, and reapplying for benefits, do the wait time to get the benefits, have people give testimony that the money I received is not something that I will consistently receive. I have to go through extra hurdles, and it's on me to do it. You know, you can't expect. It would be wonderful to have a case manager, but that's a luxury that I don't have currently, and people who come through my situation might not have right away. It'd be wonderful to have people to schedule doctor's appointments and be with me through those appointments, plan for the appointments, be able to ask the questions that I might not remember to ask. But until I get that, I can't rely on it. It's on me to figure this stuff out, and that means I've got to take extra time out of my day. That might mean I don't cook a meal, for instance. Thankfully, I'm able to do that a little bit better because I can cook ahead of time, make a day of it, and have food prepared for me for the week. Got a microwave last week, which makes that a little easier. But these are things that you need to understand. So for those that are going through my situation, have faith, be strong. I'm a Christian, and for those that don't want to listen to a Christian message, I completely understand. I believe that we live out love and let people wonder why. While we're able to do it, while we're able to give support when we're in situations like I'm in right now, while we're still able to be there for people, even though I'm in my situation. I want you to wonder why before you even hear this next message. So if you want, you can skip through the next minute and a half. I'll put a link in the doobly, or not a link, but a time limit in the doobly-doo down below if you want to skip ahead. But some passages that I got from my pastors, I watched 5,000 people pray for me a couple weeks ago, which were really cool, is that it's actually quoted in the scripture that while we're not given more temptation than we can handle, we are given more than we can handle in struggles. Nobody leaves this world without struggle. But struggle as a Christian is different than average struggle. It means we get the opportunity to persevere, which leads to stronger character, which leads to hope. And not only that, but we're given the opportunity to be closer to God. And my strength and relationship with God is always growing. This is a time in my life where it grows exponentially, if I let it. And that's what I've been pursuing. Is really just saying, hey God, I got nothing. This is on you. I am your servant here. Tell me what to do or bring it to me, because I don't see any other way. And that's a really cool message. I'm not alone. This is something that will build character in me. And the fact that I'm going through it means I can bring it, according to the Bible, I can bring it to other people and help them with stuff. So it's an opportunity for me to learn a new skill set. And I pray encouragement in that for me, strengthening in that, because I do get tired. But and just support. But that's kind of the mindset I've gone through. And that's been a really cool Christian message. Alright, so done with that. Now on to the next bit, which is that I am, I'm going to be building this series with practical advice. And whether you're somebody going through this who's trying to figure it all out for the first time, and believe me, I know how little of a voice. There's so much information out there, but there's absolutely nothing that tells you how to navigate it or deal with it. You know, nobody tells you that you're going to be the one figuring this stuff out. You expect the doctors to. You expect that this is a scary enough time that you're going to get aid from people, and it's not necessarily the case. Sometimes you have to build the aid you need. And don't worry, I'm going to be here to try and help with that process. I'm going to give you everything that I've learned and everything that I'm going through. And I'm going to teach you how to build networks and make friends with the right people who will help you out, and how to use the people in your life currently with their vast and varied limitations. And for those people out there who are looking to help somebody in need, I know this is a little bit longer video for the context of everything I'm building it, but I want you guys to, even if you get the last minute of this video and nothing else, I want you to understand simple tips and tricks that you can do to help somebody out. One is get to know what they need. They don't necessarily need you to give them money. Sometimes you can pay cell phone companies directly. You don't have to go through the person. If you're questioning that, you can just ask them for an account number and go from there. If they're somebody you don't know yet, but you want to help them more properly, that is. If there's somebody you know and trust, yes, of course they'll have financial needs. They'll also have emotional support needs. Sometimes they just need you to come and pick them up and take them out of the house. I can't tell you what, I would kill to have somebody bring a dog over every now and then. I can't have pets in my apartment. And I love animals. And to be able to cuddle, just physical touch for me would be awesome. To have a service that does that. That's a cool project that might be great. I plan through the nonprofit I'm privileged to run. I've got excellent volunteer staff that's been helping me with this thing that's geared to help at-risk homeless and foster youth. We got the 501c3 basically the same week I got sick. So it's still been going on almost without me, but it's great. I have a nagging thing in my head that says I'm going to go ahead and not just help foster youth, but also create a storage system for Bellingham. And I'll need funding for that, but I go out and get that. For those out there who are thinking about this, I want you to think about what it would mean to helping people rebuild if you could rent a house and pay somebody to once a day go back and forth grabbing items for people and insure all those items so that even if they do get stolen, they're covered under insurance. And that way you don't have to worry about the people you're helping actually taking, because you're paying somebody else to do the shipping back and forth and document all the items. And a house, $1,600 a month would cover 70 people in a 5x5 storage capacity. Just imagine that. So those are some helpful tips for right now. Getting a living trust in the name of somebody else for the benefit of a person like me is a big help, because I can start to save the money. Because if I save money or save assets in my situation, I lose my benefits. And my benefits are not huge. They're a pain in the butt to get, pain in the butt to keep. They don't cover all my needs. And even if I'm creative and come up with a system that helps me out, that system that I come up with might in turn lose my benefits for me. But if I had an account that was for the benefit of me but not in my name, and I put all those assets in there, this is an account that costs a couple grand. I worked in banking for 4 years. I've helped hundreds, if not thousands, of people kind of talk to the right lawyers and build these accounts. And the people who are wealthy enough to make it, it costs a couple grand to set up an account like this. And it means the world. So if you're capable of helping people set up these accounts, if you're capable of helping create storage, if you're capable of doing those things, man, it doesn't cost much, but it'll change lives. And for now, that's the end of what I have to say for today. Thank you guys for listening. Have a great day. Take care.